Am I living the highest service to humanity that I can possibly live in this body with all those gifts, skills, talents, and abilities that life and love and creation has given you? Are you doing that? After I answered that question for myself, every single step I've taken since the last 11 years has been around that. There's always the higher purpose. Trauma gives us that opportunity to open up to a higher purpose. It shows us what we are not, so we can understand who we really are and embrace that, and not just embrace it, but embody those energies.
Hello, and welcome back to the Oracle on Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Leah Dunlap, and today I'm here with Dr. Meg Haworth, who is a phenomenal, amazing woman, leader, entrepreneur, founder. She's all the things we love about talking about here on our show, because what I love about her story, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about her in a second, is that her journey, like many of yours I know that are out there, it involves so many layers and so many pieces of revealing herself to herself, which is what we're all about talking about. And also, like, her work is so amazing. So let me tell you a little about Dr. Meg Haworth, so that we can get ourselves started and jump right in. One of the great things that I love about her is she's a transpersonal psychologist, holistic chef, and best-selling author. She helps wounded icons, and I'll tell you what that is about in just a second, become healed icons. So instead of becoming an adult child of narcissist, you will become an independent, confident, original, and naturally you in her Iconic Me therapeutic coaching program. There's so much in here that I want to share with everyone. So, Meg, what I'd love for you to do is take a moment and let us know more about your journey. It's so beautiful to me because, as a intuitive myself and somebody who's utilized my gift and worked with people in the business arena, one of the things that I think I finally came to at some point in my life, and we're talking probably like 10 years ago now, this understanding that all of us is needed in the work that we do. So tell us a little bit about your journey and how you became this transpersonal psychologist and holistic chef.
Yeah. Ooh, well, the short answer is I healed myself.
Yeah.
So that's the short answer. But the journey of that was pretty intense. And it started, really from birth, growing
Mm.
up in an abusive home with a narcissistic parent. And as a child, I was sexually, physically, emotionally abused. I also drowned when I was 2 years old and had a
Wow.
near-death experience that they had to revive me. And so then I had all these psychic abilities, and I would see spirits. I had, all this whole mystical world that I had. If I talked about it in terms of it being play, like, oh, I'm playing witches, or I'm
Yes.
playing with, with these concepts, it was fine.
Uh-huh.
But when I started to talk about it in any sort of serious way, it's like, oh no, there's no such thing as ghosts. There's only the Holy Ghost. And so,
Yes.
those messages were present. So there was always that part of me. But from all of the abuse, and this is something I didn't understand until I was in my 20s, I was in and out of doctor's offices for the entire decade of my 20s.
Wow.
One diagnosis after the next. There were times where I'd be in bed for weeks at a time on painkillers, muscle relaxers, antidepressants, antipsychotics for vertigo, which I refused to take. I was like, I didn't realize
Whoa.
that's how bad
Okay.
the vertigo got, where I had to crawl across the room to get to the bathroom.
Oh my
It
goodness.
was just like, it was such an intense journey of being so sick I couldn't get out of bed. And then simultaneously, I'm seeing ghosts everywhere.
Hmm.
And so I'm just like, okay, got to do something about this. And so everything changed the moment I said to myself, and it was a really specific moment, that um, I need to take my healing into my own hands,
Wow.
because this medicine is not medicine. It's not working for me. And so I was actually reading an article in the Washingtonian magazine, where I'm from, DC, and it was about alternative medicine. And I could barely hold up the magazine. I was in so much pain. I was like crying. It hurt so much from scoliosis, ruptured disc in my neck, and all of that stuff. But it clicked with me when I was reading about chiropractic care, And I thought, oh, that'd be great for my boyfriend at the time. He's got these back
Yes, yes,
problems.
for them over there. Yes, I get
You
it.
know, it was always about them, right? I was
Yes.
raised by a narcissistic parent. It's always
Yeah.
about others.
Right.
It's never about you. And so I was not accustomed to thinking in that regard. But in that moment, I was like, oh, I need to do something for me. This
Mm.
is serious. Your body's screaming. And so my pathway got me into metaphysical healing. It got me into transpersonal psychology, which is holistic psychology. It got me into energy work and spiritual development and developing my gifts as an intuitive, honing that because prior to that, it was like empathy gone wild and intuition gone wild. You know,
I
right?
do know. I was like, yes, I totally remember that as a young person. So yes, I can appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you think it's you almost think it's a curse because you can't, there's no control of it.
Right. There's no container. And
Container, thank you.
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, because you don't want to
Absolutely.
control, you want to contain your or you want to hone it,
Right. Right.
you
It's
know.
definitely, yeah, it's a tool, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's a good, if you're not in a supportive environment as a young person, as you weren't, and of course, this is somewhat similar to my own story of not really
Mm,
belonging in a family that understood what I was experiencing, who also told me it's just all make believe, it's just your imagination. I was like,
yeah.
I don't know. And then when the thing happened where it was like, oh no, this is a real thing happening, then I was like, okay, you're wrong and I'm right. And I think that's that still at that point, I had no one in my life that would show me the way to kind of maintain myself and my energy. So I think it's an
Yeah.
important point to make that, yeah, honing that skill and that energy and knowing how to work with it. And I love how you're saying for yourself too that it finally kind of struck you. It's like, oh, this is for my healing too.
Yeah.
Like, this is for me. What if you could tap into the law of attraction with precision and power on your terms? I'm Leah Dunlap, and in my audiobook, Power Up the Law of Attraction, I give you the no fluff blueprint to create a life of purpose, prosperity, and peace. Ready to stop manifesting by accident and start creating with intention? Download Power Up the Law of Attraction now on Audible. Now, back to the show. What a beautiful process of understanding and acknowledgement that you're sharing. But the journey, obviously, not an easy one to get there. And so I also love how you then turn that towards your work, which I think is often the case. People finally work when they see the value of what they are learning for themselves. There is an impetus to want to help others with it as well. So tell us, how did you kind of come, maybe not full circle, but come to the understanding that this was your work to do?
I think I'd always known on some level. I'd gotten my undergraduate degree actually in English with a concentration in writing, but
Ah,
I had minors in psychology and social work because I wanted to be a psychologist. I just couldn't connect with just hearing the same theories from the same theorists over and over and over and over again. And I'm like, there's so much more to it than this, and I can't describe what that is yet. And then my experience would unfold and allow me to see, oh, it's the spiritual. If you don't have the spiritual, the healing
yeah.
doesn't fully happen. And that's something that I came to understand through this whole journey. And I wanted to mention another trauma that I went through that is very significant that I think people will understand even more deeply. Just this overcoming thing that
Mm.
was put in my path over and over and over again. Many years after that turning point in my late 20s, I was struck by lightning. So, so that was a significant moment where I had been a successful private chef to celebrities here in Hollywood for about 12 years at that point,
Wow.
and it completely derailed that career. But I already had my PhD in transpersonal psychology and I had practiced in that regard already.
Mm,
But I had, the whole chef thing came from healing myself also, finding
right.
foods that would support my system to heal. Because of course I went to the physical first because I thought, oh, these illnesses, it means it's physical, right? Like, no, experience.
No,
Partly
yeah.
that.
Yes, right?
It's
Partly
partly that.
that, but this big
Yeah.
piece. Yes.
Yes, but it's also the emotional
Hmm.
and the spiritual, the energetic. So the energy system is the thing I play in the most these days and helping people heal that because
Right.
that can heal at the cellular level of the body, the memories
Mm.
of how our body remembers these traumatic experiences and holds
Right.
them in our field, and thus in our systems and bodies, and how we
Yes.
get drained through that experience. So that turning point moment of being struck by lightning, I knew right away it was an initiation because I had been wondering, like,
There's
why?
no, I mean, talk about a powerful initiation. Like we talk about here all the time. Like, what was that 2x4 moment? What was that big bang moment? I mean, that is a big moment to have like such a literal thunderclap
Literal.
show
Yeah.
up and say, okay. What
Yeah.
was that like? I love that you also recognized it. So what was the thing when you were like, oh, this is telling me something? What was the message you walked away with?
I could walk, but I couldn't go very far and had to sort of retrain. I had so many physical injuries that
Yeah.
what I'll always have. But the metaphysical takeaway from all of this was I knew in the ambulance on the way to the hospital that this was a significant moment where I was moving into a new phase of my life that I had been calling
Mm.
out for. I didn't know how it was going to show up. I never expected a lightning bolt. Who does? Um,
No, yeah, no. It's not
but
on anybody's bingo card, that's for sure.
yeah, I'm definitely somebody who tends to go big. So yeah, so that turning point moment and just really knowing in my heart and soul that this was significant and it was a time to embrace a
Mm.
new level of me. And the most important question I asked myself in the whole healing process from the lightning was, am I living the highest service to humanity that I can possibly live in this body?
Wow.
And my answer was no. You
Yeah.
know, private chefing was not enough to fulfill that destiny. But, and so I was like, and that's a question that I ask my audiences: are you living to the highest level of service that with all those gifts, skills, talents, and abilities that life and love and creation has given you? Are you doing that? And if you're not, that's okay. But maybe start answering the question like, well, gosh, how will I serve people best? How will I serve humanity best with what I've been given and the challenges I've been given? And so
Hmm.
that's how I live my life. And after I answered that question for myself, every single step I've taken since for the last 11 years, because it's been 11 years in July, has been around that, and that's even my to-do list on a daily basis.
Right. That's such a, I mean, I think the beautiful piece of that I hope people are hearing is you have that answer,
Mhm.
right? You may not be paying attention. And sometimes life will make sure you pay attention.
Yeah.
Hopefully not in that way, but in a way that's very similar
Yeah.
to you for your own edification, if you will. It's then not a one-time thing either, as you're saying. It's going back to that well, right? Back to that center, back to that focus and saying, oh, what does it mean for me today? What do I do
Yeah.
with that now? How am I showing up that way now? In our group, in our Limitless Life Club, we're always talking about like, what
Mhm.
is your unique life purpose? And I've heard people say to me like, well, it's not just one purpose. I said, ah, I'm like, it could be many facets. There can be many passions. There can be many ways that you deliver. But
Yeah.
ultimately, it comes back to this thing, like you're saying, that you are meant to be here to
Yeah.
deliver something. And all of the things that you know and have and experience are part of that gift. And
Mhm.
I love that idea that, and then you come back to that and say, am I truly today, as me, doing what is ultimately of the best service for my existence, right? For being here. Because of course for you, I mean, here we're talking about not just one, but two major experiences of possibly not being here, that you're still here. What bigger or more bold statement can life make than, this is you, you're here on purpose. You're here to do something. As you continue to grow what you're building with this, What do you see? There's this question that's just hovering as O's like, I can feel her starting to activate here. This question to me that's sitting maybe for someone out there in the audience right now of, do you know what is your thought or belief around the idea that these tragic, traumatic experiences are part of an opening in us to the spiritual realm, to that other side? I mean, I know for myself, I've thought about that for a very long time, having already had, some similar experiences as a young person. And working with people over the last 30 years, I see this pattern. So I'm curious for you if you see a pattern there and what your thought is about it.
Yeah, I think it's so important that when you have a wake up call, no matter how massive it is or because sometimes they're not that huge,
Yeah.
they can be like whisperings. And when you do have one, always recognize this is not about you being punished for
Yeah.
something. It's not the 2x4 hitting you over the head to make you wrong for wherever you are in your life. I think that kind of, we're attracting this experience thing. Yes, of course, there's the law of attraction is always at work, but there's always the higher purpose. Trauma gives us that opportunity to open up to a higher purpose. It
Hmm.
shows us what we are not so we can understand who we really are and embrace that, and not just embrace it, but embody those energies. We're,
Yes.
we're not that shame and that guilt and that pain and that sadness and envy and jealousy and all those things the narcissistic parent or toxic parent instills in us, that
Yeah.
programs us with.
Right.
That's the who you think you are. And there's a big difference between who you think you are, who you were told or programmed to be, and who you are. And
Right.
the pathway of spiritual development and of living a life of service and of being who you were meant to be is walking along that pathway, going through the processes of healing, releasing, letting go, and embodying who you really are. And your one purpose in life is just to be you, to be that, to
Exactly.
shine, you know?
Right. It is to shine. I think this is the thing, the moment where we look at our past experiences, and I believe as well, like in the law of attraction, and I believe that there's always a reason that life is happening through us, for us, and for the big us. Sometimes I think people forget, like we are always all connected. For me, that's how my original awareness of my gift came, was the oracle said to me, "You are here on purpose." But it took 20 years before I understood when she said, "You are here on purpose," she wasn't just talking about me.
Mm-hmm.
She was talking
Mm,
about us,
yeah.
that the humanity of who we are and what we've experienced and what we're just talking about right now. I just literally gave myself chills by saying that, was that
Yeah.
the you she was talking about was all of us. And and knowing that, as you said, and like understanding it allows you to be more aligned, more whole, more present, therefore doing and being what you're meant to do and be in the world from a place of grace and love and hope,
Yeah.
for the future that you can see, as you said, like looking at what not to be in the realm of like how perhaps toxic or narcissistic parents, like as you said, look at us or make us think we should feel or be. There is the beauty of the opposite side of that, which is then we get to choose to know that that's not the truth. The truth is we get to not be those things anymore. We get to be our whole selves.
We get to be our whole selves and also recognize that as you go through life, there's something I say to my clients, my community all the time, is that as long as you're in a body, the fun never stops.
Yes.
So, and
Right.
that's in all realms of fun, but also just that there's always going to be something that will come up. It's part of human life,
Hmm.
that those negative energies, that shadow side of us is a part of us.
Yeah.
And we're not meant to discard or disconnect. If we try to do that, they get more intense, because I think those emotions are trying to get our attention and trying to help us heal. They need the healing, they need the love, the care, the kindness, the compassion.
Hmm.
And as we embrace them and give them that and hear what they have to say, So I don't think of negative emotions as negative anymore. I think of them as teaching emotions. They're here to teach
Mhm.
us something about who we really are. And it's about embracing them and allowing them to be a part of our experience. And I'm, really wanted to point this out as this, it's not like a pinnacle place that you reach. I'm healed. You know what I mean? What happens though is you become more and more adept at moving through your healing processes because
Right.
it's like a muscle. You just keep exercising it. And so you'll find things that used to sit in for maybe years, months,
Right.
weeks, may only take a few hours for you to process, or maybe not
Yes.
even that much. And
And don't
maybe,
you and do you
you
agree
know,
that also that means that you're getting more from the experience because you're letting go of that kind of negative connotation? You actually get more from the learning by holding it in a more soft and receptive state, I think. That's been my experience. And I see that with my clients as well. Like there's this place where we have to understand, hmm, don't have to, get to
yeah,
understand
yeah,
that, I like to say, like, if you're still breathing, you still have work to do. That's it.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
easy. It's easy. It doesn't have to be painful, as you were saying. It doesn't have to be shameful. Sometimes people like look at it like, I can't believe this triggered me again, or I can't believe I'm having this experience again, or going through this process again.
yeah,
And yet what I'm hearing you say as well is like this is it's never ending, right? We're here
yeah,
to keep doing this, but we're
mhm,
not meant to do it, as you said earlier, out of self-flagellation. It's not meant to be like consistently beating ourselves up about it. And I think if we look at it from that perspective, then what we get from it
yeah,
is so much more beautiful,
yeah,
because that healing becomes maybe it's swifter, but it's also
mhm.
deeper, I think. Right?
Yeah. And that's something I think that you just brought up an incredibly important point when it comes to healing, which is my life purpose, that one word, healing, right? um, when it comes to that is that when you do feel like, and I know you hear people say this, it's all happening again. It's all coming up again. I thought I healed this. I thought
Yeah.
I put this behind me. But my understanding is you can't unheal what you healed. Like you did the work and
Right.
you let that thing go. Right now, your soul is sending you this experience to help you go deeper.
Absolutely.
There's another layer coming up, and
Yeah.
this layer is for you.
Yeah.
It's not happening to you, it's for you. And what you do with that, that's part of the free will aspect, I think, of it all, is that
Mm,
we have the free will to sit in it, let it fester, let it get worse, get sick from it. Um, we have the free will to process it, to seek help
right.
and assistance, to just keep moving through these experiences with the idea of love in mind and being self-loving, because that whole self-flagellation thing that we do, well, I thought I was done, is that's an opportunity to love yourself, to really embrace yourself and just go, you know what, you're having a bad day and it's okay. You can be grumpy. It's
Yeah.
okay to be grumpy. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you.
Right. And it's
Mhm.
like the image I just got from O was a reminder that
Mm.
healing is fractal. And if you ever see
Mm.
those fractal images, right? It's that unfolding, that the conch shell, it's the
Yeah.
nautilus, of the
Yeah.
unfolding of that, still from the same point, but from a different vantage point, a perspective, a lens, right?
Yeah.
So it's so multidimensional.
Mhm.
Um, I love that. Thanks.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's such a beautiful image.
Yeah.
Because I
It
think
is.
that this is it. Like we get to, as you said,
Yeah.
get to have this happen through us.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and and it's happening through us for us. But again, then she just nudges me and says, "Yeah, the big us, all of us," because I think
Yes.
when we heal, we are truly healing the greater experience of life and humanity, because a healed person heals people. So the more
Yeah.
healing we experience, the more the world experiences healing.
Absolutely. And
Um,
you don't have to hang a shingle out to continue
no,
to
no.
send your healing out, because we do it in so many different ways. I mean, it could just
Right.
be sitting with a friend who's in total darkness,
Hmm.
smiling at a stranger who you can tell is just down and hurting, and that lifts them. There's just so many ways that we just show up in the world and just be ourselves,
Hmm.
when you embody these qualities that are the the strength of who you are.
Yeah.
It's empowering, and it empowers others around you because they feel your shifts and your changes too. you know
Absolutely. I think that's what you often hear people say like the ripple effects, and it's
Mhm.
like, you may never even know, those of you who are listening, I say this all the time to my
Yeah.
clients, you may never even know that that smile was the
Mm.
thing that changed that person's life. Right?
Yeah.
So the best thing you can do is be that whole you, because
Hmm.
you're drawn into places purposefully to
Yeah.
be there as
Hmm.
you. And if you don't show up as your whole self, you're leaving something, there's a gap there you're leaving. So to remember, like, you may never know, you may never have the awareness. No, someone may not hand you the prize or, say thank you, or even know your name, but your presence is really a gift, when you're being authentically you. So this is the fun part of our call where I get to ask you,
Yeah.
and share with you my gift, which is to be able to help those women, entrepreneurs, and people that are out there making a great impact in the world to find their next step to get insight or nudges forward towards what they're trying to create to make a better impact in the world. And I know you're doing such great work. So I would love to support you in that way. Is there something you're working on right now that you could find a way to ask a question that the Oracle could help serve you today?
Yeah, well, I think it's beautiful that you use your gifts to serve us, and then just by translation, people get to witness, because what it's like to be a woman entrepreneur in the spiritual
Right.
realms, like to bring those energies through is like it's really powerful, and but not always easy because the world operates in very specific ways.
Yes.
But at any rate, intuition's a key thing we use to get through, right? So yeah, the thing that I thought about is on my heart. As I shared, I have my undergraduate degrees in writing. I've written six
Mm,
books and co-authored five and written hundreds of articles. Like, I love writing, and I have two book proposals right now. Um, and one is specifically about parental narcissistic abuse and how that
mm,
affects us and healing from that. And the other is about how emotions impact the physical body and how to release ourselves from that emotional impact to bring total health and wellness to the body, and also food, because, as a holistic chef, the power of
So
the
she was
mind
so
and
she was
food.
already pointing to the food. She's like waiting for you to say something about food.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
so funny. I was like, there's the food thing. And it was like, oh, she's not
Yeah.
talking about food. Yes,
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because as you were talking, there is this the holistic piece
Yeah.
that's coming through for you, that the food is a big part of it. In fact, I'm getting what I love to call the oracle flesh as I'm talking, which is a good sign that we're on the right track. But she's saying this for you, when we talk about whole self, food is such a powerful piece of your story
Yeah.
that the way you will share it will speak to so many more people. Oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional here.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, whoa.
So,
Uh, that
yeah.
that part, the way it's very important. She's saying like the way you share it.
Mm,
So making sure that, again, we're kind of going back to what you said yourself, which is it's the you in that food,
mm,
and that in the story of the food and the healing, as well as the approach to wholeness.
mm,
That's the apex of what's going to make it successful and why it's yours to be doing.
mm.
So
Okay.
of the two, I think this is the one. And of the one,
Mhm.
really knowing that integrating that food piece and the story, she keeps pointing to the story of the food, your story is the key in making that really Okay, so I'm going to use the word successful and I'm just tossing that out because it's less about that than about the service. She's like, yes,
Right.
right. So it's like, yes, it will be
Yeah.
more successful of the two, but the real point is this is where you serve.
Yeah. And I think that when it comes to service, it's to me, that's the most successful
Yeah,
piece. It's,
that's why she's
it's,
saying, because
yeah,
I know people are listening to that going, oh,
yeah.
that's going to be the most successful book. Going, no, this is the most successful project because it allows you to serve in your
Mhm.
highest form.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that to say then that it's the holistic picture
The
is what
holistic picture for sure.
from
And
healing
most,
from abuse, using food,
right.
using
Yeah. And using the
energy
food.
work and
Yep.
food
Yeah. Make
as a
sure
big
that the
piece of
food
it.
is a big part of it. There's this
Hmm.
moment there. You just said something nurturing, nourishment, how those are
Mm.
together. She's showing me those, right?
Yeah.
So there's that narcissistic nurturing, lack of nurturing, the nurturing and the nourishment and the
Yes.
food
Okay.
piece. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Because I mean, nourishment of all types, mental,
Right.
emotional,
Yeah.
physical, spiritual, and
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just get so excited about food and,
Yeah. Yeah. So she's like, that's like
feeding
really,
others. I love it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that is her answer to your question for now.
Mm,
Thank you so
yeah.
much for such a beautiful question and work that's so important. As
Thank
people
you.
are listening to us now, and hopefully you watch this as well on YouTube because sometimes watching is learning too. To watch you as I said that and watch your face and the lighting up energetics, I think is important for people to recognize like this is what healing is too, is to recognize and clarify those next steps for yourself so you can continue to express. And as people are listening today, I'd love for them to know more about how they can find out about you, Dr. Hayworth. How can they follow up and stay connected with you?
Yeah, so you can find me at meghaworth.com. It's Meghaworth. You're going to want to put a Y in there. So you can find me at meghaworth.com. And then I have a YouTube channel at Dr. Meg Haworth to help you with healing from parental narcissistic abuse in holistic ways. I have an online summit, the Toxic Parent Recovery Summit, that's actually launching May 13, but it's always available on the website, 2 seasons so far. Yes, there's a lot of different offerings. And then there's free gifts on my website, including 52 ways to tell if your parent is a narcissist, a checklist. And then there's also, yeah, only 52.
Only, yeah, right.
Is all. And then my 10 steps to overcoming the effects of victimization, which is
Mm.
a free ebook. And then there's a recipe book on there, 5 anti-inflammatory recipes for people on the go.
Fantastic. All
Mm.
right, everyone, you heard it here. Dr. Meg Haworth without the Y. Don't put it in there. I did the same thing, but don't even worry about it because we're going to make sure we connect her on this podcast. So make sure you look at the show notes, follow along, do subscribe so you hear more of these amazing stories because, of course, we're here to support you as women entrepreneurs and founders to really fulfill that wholeness and live a
Mm.
limitless life of purpose and prosperity. So please come back, keep coming back. I'm your host, Leah Dunlap. This is the Oracle on Purpose podcast. Again, thank you, Meg, for being here today to share your wisdom and to receive an offering from the Oracle. Again, come on back. We'll see you next time. I'm Leah Dunlap, and this is the Oracle on Purpose podcast.